Welcome to the channel that pumps your heart and pounds your blood to a new beat, the heliosblog. Today, we have a heated debate on the Whatever podcast, and these girls, they have some sad pasts. Let's get into it.
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
By the way, guys, before we start, that girl on the far right of the frame, yeah, that's a red flag. Let's go.
We should all celebrate. Yay!
Is this Twitch, Kick, or
What do you mean?
the subscriptions?
Twitch.
Oh, the memberships, that's YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And Amy, your relationship status?
I'm single. My longest relationship was 4 years, which was my last relationship.
Not bad.
Okay.
Ended about 4 months ago.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she looks like she's 28 plus, so the last train has already passed, sadly.
Okay. Your most recent relationship ended 4 months ago.
Correct. And that was my longest, 4 years.
And you ended it.
Oh, your longest relationship was 4 years.
Yes, which was the last one, which ended about 4.
4 months ago?
Yeah, I'd say, wait, it was in the end of May. So whatever that is.
Okay. Got it.
She totally doesn't look sad at all, guys. Totally doesn't.
Cool. I had a question for the girls who do OnlyFans. So some people on OnlyFans can make a lot of money. Just curious, are you guys down to share like how much money you guys make?
I'd rather not, but they can.
Is it five figures, 6 figures a month?
Are you all in the top 1% of OnlyFans that make at least $2,500 per month?
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah,
easy.
that, but
Oh, Lord. These are OF models? Or OF? Man.
So you're all the top 1%, the 3 people at
Under
this.
mine says
under
like
top under 1%.
0 something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Point what?
I don't know.
It fluctuates.
It fluctuates. It also
Yeah.
depends on
I
like if
don't-
you're with a good agency, if you're putting out a lot of content on social media. It depends on a lot of things.
I don't
Talking about this like it's a business. That's about right. Selling your body for money, the world's oldest profession. Lovely.
know what that means. So I don't know.
Do you guys talk to the guys that follow you? Do you have like those communications, or is it just the photos and the videos
Like on social media or on OnlyFans?
on OnlyFans?
I think it depends on if you have an agency. Sometimes the girls are managed. Sometimes like the girls are
You
not.
you personally?
You personally?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. You. Okay. What do you have any men that consider you to be like their girlfriend?
There it is. Any men, plural. And look at that expression, guys. We're going to pause the frame on this. Actually, you can see, like, this freeze frame is actually perfect. So, the girl on the left, she's worried. She's like, oh no, am I going to get asked this question? What if they find out? This girl's like, I wonder if they actually think that, or if they know that it's a lie. This girl here is like, she looks like she's worried about what the answer is, and this girl's just totally guilty and has that smile like she's proud of it.
I feel like they do. I mean.
There it is. Yup. Because basically, what is this platform, right? What does it do? What is it for? It's giving men what they think is a relationship when really they're throwing their money into a hole. No pun intended.
We're kind of like selling a fantasy here, you know? Like I
You
feel
see?
like they might, yeah.
She actually told the truth there.
Okay. Do you see any like potential conflicts with that? And do they ever ask to meet up? And how do you get out of like ever actually meeting them in person?
Oh, I just
It's like the friend zone.
very forward. Like I say, I'm not comfortable with that. Like if they ask anything that I'm not willing to do, or like meeting up, or like any.
So you're willing to sell your body for $4.99, but you're not willing to meet the guy that wants to sleep with it. I see. Very clear boundaries here.
photos or videos I don't want to do, I just tell them I don't want to.
Oh, okay. And so you have these guys who consider you to be their girlfriend, and then they'd be like, oh, but can we get some, like, want to get a drink sometime? And you're just like, no, never. How does
Yeah,
that?
I would say no. It's for like safety reasons. I don't really want to meet up with like people online.
I see. So I don't talk to strangers, but taking their money and selling them a fantasy, as it were, that's fine. Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, you can see how that sort of attitude is not a wife, right? You can see that. I hope, if you guys are listening. And then they're like, oh no, this is a legitimate profession. Why don't you take them seriously? Why don't you date them seriously? You know? Meanwhile, I wouldn't be with her with another man's rocket, as it were.
They're probably parasocial. Like,
Yeah, I think it's more parasocial than like actually thinking you're a girlfriend. You're more like an e-girl to them. I don't think anybody thinks you're in a...
I was right. I actually saw in her expression what I said, which is she wonders if those guys think that, but she doesn't personally believe it. That's what I saw in her expression. But guys, here's what I want to say. These girls know they're lying and basically stealing from the men, right? They know that that's what they're doing. They know they're using them. They know they're taking advantage of them. They know this. And they do it proudly. You see, they're proud to go on a podcast and talk about it.
serious relationship ever, because they understand that they're on a platform talking to you. It's not like you're actually like talking on the phone or like meeting up for dates and stuff.
And parasocial relationships exist in a lot of capacities. Like people feel a parasocial relationship with their favorite influencers and celebrities, but I think it borders on the line of a little bit more precarious and a little bit more, maybe this is not quite safe when you are so sexually involved with them as well, because that draws on emotions that are not typical in the average parasocial relationship where people...
Of course, that's exactly what's happening. They're pulling on the men's heartstrings, as it were. For what purpose? To what end? Well, the purpose is obvious. To extract as much resources and money as possible out of the men with no real return. Taking a picture is not the same as having bedroom fun. So it's just usury, effectively. And why do these men do it? Well, these men do it because they have no other option, right? So what do these girls see these men as? They see them as useful idiots. Don't let that be you.
People are just worshipping their social media idols or celebrities, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of...
Right. I mean, and also, like, those people have security for a reason. Like most celebrities that you see out have security. And you guys, there's just now all of these content creators who I don't think they're as careful about not letting the public know their whereabouts. And often they're actually really loose with letting people know their doxed information. And it just seems dangerous.
I think that's also one of the things. I think it's a bit of a cope when people say like, oh, OnlyFans is so much safer than these other platforms, because OnlyFans did not start as a content for that type of explicit content. It started off as like a Patreon of sorts, right, where they had more relaxed kind of standards. And so when you look at the traditional sex work environment, strip clubs, you know, anything like that, there are guidelines in place. There are restrictions. There's like direct training on that. Versus with OnlyFans, because it wasn't, the platform wasn't explicitly started with that intent, I feel like that's lacking, which can almost cause people to fall into more precarious situations, just depending on what comes up. You know?
I feel like even Instagram is more dangerous in a sense, because people are involved with your life emotionally. You're posting stories all the time. There's not like a stories feature on OnlyFans, for example. It's not like purely transactional.
Yes, we know that Instagram is the world's most popular dating site. We know that. That is how people use Instagram. Now, of course, this girl comes to the defense of OnlyFans. Also, notice something interesting. The OF girls here, and there's 3 of them, notice how they're a little bit, let's say, not, how would I put this? Let's just say that they are not physically every man's type. Okay, let's put it that way. But because these men are so desperate, they'll even pay for a girl that looks like them. Let that be a lesson to you guys.
You can like communicate and comment and like be invested in a figure or social media persona like very, very intensely. And I don't see it like as that different.
There's also like the lack of, there's two things that are different than on Instagram. So now with Instagram, you can like post bikini pictures.
I find it very funny that this guy on the left, he's practically falling asleep. He's just letting the girls talk.
You can post whatever, but it's not like overtly sexual. You're not like literally selling sex. I mean, you kind of are, but not explicitly.
Indeed. That describes Instagram perfectly.
And then also the exchange.
Marketing sex. You're marketing sex. You're not selling sex.
But I feel like
and then
people
also,
can be,
my second one was the exchange of money. I think people
Nick,
start
can you put it on
feeling
start, please?
as though they have some sort of ownership over people or
put it on
ownership
start?
over the women because they've paid some specific amount and therefore like they're entitled to. I worry about people becoming possessive, obsessive, and feeling entitled.
I just want to say, as far as like the strip club or like other like walks of sex work, I feel like OnlyFans is kind of like the safest because
These long nails, nothing sketchy about those, by the way.
like with those you have to be with these people in person. As far as, I don't want to say any words that I can't say, but like just other forms of sex work, like you know, because I used to do those and
so there it is, that I've had my fun, but now I'm ready to settle down. Does she have a ring on her left finger? Oh my lord. That girl's married? Okay. No comment on that.
I joined OnlyFans because it was like, I don't have to see these people. They know what I want them to know. And it was like just safer, like as far as that goes. Like
She's talking about like what is the recourse though if someone was crazy, because there's a lot of recourse and there are set protocols and standards in place with these forms of sex work that are like explicitly considered sex work versus something like OnlyFans, which is a little bit more vague, a little bit more ambiguous. Like what is the true recourse for that? Do you know what I mean? Like are there those specific standards and protocols in place where people are even informing themselves about the potential dangers and how to be aware of them and how to...
This is a interesting conversation. And by interesting, I mean this girl's monopolizing the conversation. And she's kind of just rambling.
Navigate them if they were to arise, you know?
I'm having that thing like Taylor the Fiend, you know, where he just like listens to the girls talk and he kind of zones out because it's so like pedantic and pointless.
I would just say it's like the same protocols as like if anyone was in danger, like, you know, police or like...
I've had in person, like people follow me to my car and all these different things, like in real life or on
From
my
your
regular...
OnlyFans as a result of that, or like
no,
just
before
in real
I
life?
ever made a social media. I've had guys catcall me, follow me in their cars, just downtown LA, and all you can do is just like keep walking. But on OnlyFans, you can establish your specific boundaries. Like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, this, and this. Here are some photo sets that you can buy. Here is...
Also, always the girls that are like, let's say not everyone's type. They're the ones that humble brag about being catcalled and followed to the car and la la la. What if the guy just happened to have a car nearby yours and he's going to his car while you're going to yours? It doesn't mean he's following you. What about that?
Is how we can like chat, but it's very strict boundaries. I think it just depends on how
Also, why does she sound like she's plugging her nose while she's talking?
you're able to establish boundaries for yourself.
She's literally speaking through her nose.
I feel like just existing as a woman is kind of dangerous in society. Like if you're walking alone and like
Statistically speaking, men are more in danger than women. The most common form of violence in the United States and everywhere else in the world is men-on-men violence. Men experience more physical harm than women do, statistically speaking. The women talk about it more.
a bad part of town. Like,
I mean,
why would you be in the bad part of town?
It's more dangerous to exist as a man.
Indeed.
yeah, I think men actually do get more violently targeted but it's also
Men are more likely to be victims of violent crime. So.
But
yeah, of violent crimes for sure. But I think when
I just want to know who is committing these crimes like against the men.
Other men.
That's kind of almost victim blaming. What does it matter what the
No,
gender
I'm just
of the perpetrator is?
I'm just saying, like, it just feels like men, the conversation of safety and the world not being safe, it's like just comes back.
It's because of men? Indeed. That's why women need men to protect them from other men. Because not all men have your best interest at heart. That's absolutely true. Not to say that women are rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. They're just likely to be emotionally violent, not physically violent, right? Women are more likely to be the ones that take advantage of people and steal from them and manipulate them to get what they want, right? Case in point. Perfect frame here of case in point.
To men sometimes.
It's not because of men. It's a very small proportion of men
Indeed.
who commit these violent crimes. So,
and they've existed since the beginning of time.
Indeed.
And that's never going to change.
It's with almost any
So here's I'll bring in Jordan Peterson here. So this is why women, when they're choosing a man, don't choose a weak soy boy, right? Because there are truly evil men out there, and the man they choose needs to be, evil enough to be able to protect her from those men, but nice enough to also be able to raise children and not leave and not harm them. And sometimes women get the balance wrong. But that's why they don't go for weak losers. Because of that, what was just talked about here. And not only this, it's not just other men that are threats, right? There are, the weather, animals, natural disasters, and so on, right? Of course, in the modern world, in many places in the modern world, these are not an issue, right? Especially in the West. But I digress.
Any group of people, though, for any stats figures, it's almost always a small group, but usually...
That's called the Pareto Principle.
Like if you divide by race or by gender or whatever, then there's a larger percentage within each categorized group in some as opposed to others, which
gobbledygook
makes these disparities seem large.
Yeah, I think when people say, oh, it's more dangerous for men, it really depends on how you qualify that. Because I feel like if...
Just across the board, generally speaking, violent crime. Go ahead.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I think women do a lot of...
I feel like women are targeted more, and therefore what I feel is, it trumps reality. Because solipsism.
Risk de-escalation as much as they can. So if women took the same actions as men do, then you might see similar numbers of violence. But what ends up happening is that women from a young age are socialized.
Why is she saying woman and not women?
To, okay, don't be out too late at night, or if you are, be with like a bunch of friends, and like always like be careful walking to the parking lot and have the keys with you and the pepper.
So she's saying that it's all about socialization and that men are not taking care? But women are taught from a young age to take care? No, everyone's taught these street smarts. Well, not everyone, obviously.
Spray and the 911 ready to call, and if a guy like flirts with you or comes up with you, think about all the ways that he can harm you. So I'm not saying that men aren't larger victims of, like, let's say street violence, for example.
I'm not saying that, but I don't care about them. I only care about myself, and I'm going to generalize my experience to the population. And as a result of this, I'm going to say that it's more common because I believe it is due to my feelings.
But I wonder if those numbers would change if women were more casual like men are.
I think it just has to do with proximity, and then also like you have gang violence is going to be like one of the main, and so it's usually gangs fighting against each other tend to be men. But like also like if you break it down by race, like Black people tend to hurt Black people, whereas white people hurt white people, Asian people hurt Asian people, women hurt women, men hurt men. Just like it.
I would say way more men hurt women, but
so
no, actually, not more than women hurt women.
You'll see more men hurting women than women hurting men, but men attack men more than men attack women.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's
so
true.
I think men, we just as I think it's a society that is the reason for this.
Here we go. Yes, let's blame society. Right? It has nothing to do with biology. It has nothing to do with testosterone. We're all equal. Let's come together and sing Kumbaya. Yeah.
Systemic thing.
I wouldn't say it's just men. I would just say it's how they were
Raised, because there's no biological reality.
Is it raised or wired? Like,
Exactly. That's exactly the crux of it.
Nurture or nurture?
I don't think any of us were like have much of a chance with the way that the system is set up.
False. Safest civilization in all of human history.
Yeah, it's largely based on like socioeconomic conditions too.
Indeed, which is why it's the safest society in all of human history.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with that because I also was raised in China from Beijing for 15 years.
And that's why you came to the West and became an OnlyFans model, yeah?
I've never actually experienced such high amount of violence where I grew up. Maybe you could say it's communism, you could say it's like the government controls everything, but like this much amount of violence is kind of unheard of almost. I was like pretty shocked when I got here, to be honest.
So, sorry, you were saying in Beijing there's less violence than in America?
I think it's
I'll bet it's more because there's many, 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 many more people. So many more, it's kind of hard to understand.
Simply because the government has more control
So
over
wait,
there.
do you prefer communism then?
That was funny.
I don't have a preference. I think I actually prefer here, but because people here can actually have their own voice, have their opinions, and then
Indeed, and look what you did with yours.
like be who they are, I think that
Disaster.
that could potentially lead to like more violence.
Have you experienced with the communist government like governmental violence in China?
I've not personally experienced it,
Yup, look at her defending the government.
but I've heard
Well raised by the government.
things. What's that?
Look at her protecting her image.
Brian?
I have no idea what the fuck this has to do with dating, but okay. So we're at.
You're talking about violence.
You were making the point, Pixie, that women, because the way they are raised to be more aware of risk,
like risk adverse. Yeah.
Okay. There was another part that you said after that I had a point on, but it's evaded me. What did you say?
She was saying that if women are brought up to be cautious around men, which is why they potentially have less conflicts with men than when you were saying that men get attacked more frequently than women.
But you could also argue that men have there's something within a lot of men which is like a white knight thing where it's like told never to hit a woman.
Yup.
In fact, I think women have certain privileges on the street, for example. Like you, for example, let's say you're walking in some bar or nightclub district and a guy comes up to you and slaps you across the face. There are totally strange men that will intervene on your behalf and essentially be your bodyguards for free that will defend you.
Yep, just to get bedroom fun. That's right.
However, if I just get slapped in the face by some dude and you start...
Everyone will avoid it.
Trying to fuck me up, nobody's coming to save me. So I think that's actually a privilege that women have. You basically, in a public area, you basically have male bodyguards that will intervene on your behalf that are total strangers.
I don't know. Okay. Like, I agree to you to a certain extent, especially like if a woman were to slap you, I highly doubt that you'll have any interveners.
That's right. Yep, probably.
But if a random man slaps you, I think you'll have a high likelihood that you're also going to have strangers intervene.
No.
And then also
No. That will not happen.
Been multiple...
No. It's not. Men and women are equal here. Actually, what's funny is even the police might not intervene. Depends on where you are. If it's male on male violence, certainly they'll intervene if it's man on woman violence.
issues,
Probably.
specifically during COVID, like when they started letting the trains run again, where women were being, you know, essayed on the trains in New York, and sometimes for many, many stops, and passerbyers were videotaping it, and nobody was doing anything to help.
That's called the bystander effect.
Help these women. So women do experience that as well. Yeah, I'll agree.
The more people are watching, the less likely one single individual is to intervene, because of the herd mentality. But if somebody were to say, "Hey, you help," they actually would.
With you that, in general, strangers are more likely to help a woman being beaten.
They are more likely.
Man being beaten by a woman, but.
And if a woman slaps a man, not a single person will intervene, guaranteed.
Women definitely experience times where strangers will not help them.
I'm not saying
that they experience times where it doesn't happen doesn't mean that it's not more likely to happen for women than it is for men, which is what the guy is arguing.
I'm not saying that there's never a situation where a woman is being physically assaulted by a man and that it's impossible that the guy doesn't intervene. However, I would say it's very likely if there's other men around seeing a woman being beaten by a man, they are very likely to not just intervene, but beat the fucking shit out of the guy who's beating on the woman.
And why would he do that? Because he wants to get laid. It's really that simple, guys. It's really that simple on a biological level. These girls don't believe it. But they seem intrigued by two guys beating up each other, which is normal as well. Women love winners. And this is one way that men can become winners. Okay. We're going to end the video there. Hit the like, hit the sub, hit all for notifications, drop me a donation like Hunter M, Adrian R, Tom M, and Bobby. Shout out to you. Go buy my book at bit.ly/heliosblog. Shout out to Curry Kid, most recent purchase of Strategist Guide to Seduction. Thank you. If you want to book a consultation, you want to get some advice from me, somebody actually emailed me that they're interested in that. So if you are, just email me at theheliosblog@gmail.com. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. I really do appreciate that you listened all the way to the end. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.